Make sure I got everything going. Ray, what's going on?
Just another frickin' day in paradise.
There you go. Everybody loves Raymond, right? Do they
right.
call you?
I hate that show, by the way. It's
Get outta
it's-
here,
It's so
You don't like Everybody Loves Raymond?
it's so angry.
I
Okay.
couldn't stand
They're
it
always-
either.
yeah,
I
they-
hated Ray. I liked his wife.
Yeah,
I hated his mom.
they're just nasty.
His wife and his brother were okay
They're always
Really?
because
jabbing
they
at
were the
each other.
beleaguered ones. They were the underdogs. Raymond was a whiny bitch.
Mhm.
His mother was a total cunt.
Totally.
See, I never. So the voice everybody hears that you can't see is my buddy Scott, obviously. But I never got
hello.
into that show. I always loved Raymond as a stand-up comedian.
Oh, he's great at that.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead, keep talking. I'm gonna try to fix this camera here.
Okay.
So
Yeah, he was a good comic, but that show was just.
What would you
They
say?
were horrible people.
Yeah.
It's like the Jerry Seinfeld show. They were such.
you didn't like
vapid,
the Jerry Seinfeld?
I watched it all the time.
I did too.
And
my God.
there were a lot of funny parts, but they were just such vapid, shallow idiots.
Well, I think that's the point.
Well,
you know?
yeah, it was
We
a
love-
show
Yeah.
about
we
nothing.
love to watch a car
and
crash.
yeah, they were just annoying. And the ending was hilarious when they were all sent to jail because
Oh.
they didn't help the guy that was.
Right. So when
Wait a
I
minute.
when I started that show, okay, so I heard about it for so many years, and I was like, all right, I love comics, right? So Jerry Seinfeld, he's a comic. I'm gonna watch this show. So I watched it all the way through, and then when that ending came, when they're in jail, I'm like, what a fucking weird ending.
Yeah, it
I was like, okay, I guess.
But it was in a way so fitting because they all deserved punishment because they were such. Ugh, you
Right.
know,
So
George
so-
Costanza. It's
My
like what a
favorite
waste
character,
of
by the way.
humanity.
right.
You don't like
Just
George?
a bunch of douchebags.
You don't like 'em?
No,
It's a
I-
show about nothing, really.
It really is. It really is. But I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean,
I did too.
after all the years of me, like, hearing about it and me loving comics, I was like, all right, I gotta watch this. I watched it all the way through, and I enjoyed myself. I really
Oh,
enjoyed
yeah.
myself. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of like bullshit, cliche, funny, like, dad
Mhm.
jokes, and I mean, I think
Oh, yeah.
that's the point,
You
The
know,
one-
he's
go ahead.
he's not a very liked comic.
No,
No.
Jerry?
Everyone says he's very conceited. He thinks he's God's gift to comedy.
I mean, what's the deal?
What's the deal?
Well, there's, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it
I love him, though. But this is
depends
what
who you ask,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
it's hilarious.
yeah, I do too.
I want to see Fritz's set when he's
Yeah,
playing
I've
in
seen
town.
him, actually.
Have you?
I went there. He's
Fritz
funny.
Coleman. Do you remember Fritz Coleman, Channel 4 weatherman for 39 years?
No.
White,
Gray
short,
hair.
white hair,
What
tall,
what
lengthy.
channel? What?
Channel 4 NBC.
No, I don't know.
He was a stand-up comedian. An agent or somebody from NBC came in, saw his show, said, "We need a weekend weather guy,"
Uh-huh.
and he said, "Okay." And he ended up working full time, all the time for 39 years.
Oh shit.
He
And
retired
he was a
a couple
comic?
years ago. Yeah,
Mhm.
Really?
and now he's back on the road
Oh
doing
wow,
comedy.
no shit.
And he and Scott's mom used to go out. They're still best friends.
Ah, okay.
And
Yeah,
he's a
Bev
client.
is a big friend
But
with
He's
Fritz.
just a wonderful guy. First time I met him was when you guys had the party on the patio. The first one, I think it was
I
around
don't
Christmas
recall that.
time. And he sat down and he and I just started talking for probably a good hour and a half.
He's easy to talk to.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's quick.
very down to earth.
Who is this guy? Can you look up a picture
got
for
Yeah.
of him? Scott? I'm surprised I don't know because I'm like such a huge comedy fan. I'm surprised I don't know him.
Yeah, he's
Maybe
probably
if I
my
see the
age,
face.
a little bit older.
Okay. Yeah, maybe if I see the face, I'll be like, oh, okay, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you ever watch Channel 4 local news, you saw him doing weather.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't too much of a news guy, you know.
See,
I mean-
I love comedy. I
There you
watch the news incessantly.
That's Fritz Coleman.
Oh, he looks like Dr. Drew.
He
A little bit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Wow. Okay.
What a douche he is.
Dr. Drew, I'm not a fan either.
He's a very.
Is he
he's-
even a doctor?
He is.
Jeez.
He's an addiction specialist, and his work I like. His politics I hate. You know?
What's going? Did you hear about Dr. Oz trying to be a politician?
Oh yeah, he was running for the Senate from Pennsylvania. Even though he's
Really?
never
lived there.
Only when he was going to school.
That's
At
so
Columbia.
That's so funny. Like,
And-
what's up with all like celebrities and all these people like just want to
Kanye,
jump
what?
into politics?
Oh yeah, and
Nowadays.
and Oz is so right wing. He's a Trump supporter.
You know, I thought he wasn't because the guy he was going against, Fetterman.
Fetterman.
So Fetterman was talking about how he was for fracking and all. So like immediately I put him in the category of Republican.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that Oz was more Republican than he was.
Oh yeah. Fetterman is actually Democrat. He's in some ways pretty progressive. LGBTQ rights, women's rights, pro-choice for women.
Yeah. Well, he just
And
had,
he had a stroke
Yeah.
6 months ago, and he's coming back really well.
I mean, is he? It's like kind of hard to like, some guy
He
has
gets-
a stroke, they
he
push him on
gets-
stage. Like,
Right.
He gets
like
tired. His
wheelchair.
voice gets tired, and sometimes it slurs a little bit.
right.
But mentally, he's very, very with it.
I could see
and
that.
his recovery is coming along really well.
I could see
and-
that, but I mean, I don't know. That's a huge risk. But
Look at some of the idiots that we have. The Republicans came out saying Biden was too old to be president at 78 years
I
old.
think he is.
I agree.
But
He's-
they
he's-
reelected and they
yeah.
pushed for Chuck Grassley in the Senate, who's 89 years old. It's like
There should be an age limit,
old,
right?
old white men should no longer be in charge.
These traditionalists,
Oh, yeah.
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 they should not be.
I would
so
rather
set
it
in their
be a
ways, they
Democrat
don't
than a
wanna hear it.
Republican because
Right.
the Republican Party, the old Republican Party in the 60s and 70s was much different than it is today. It has become so far to the
Oh.
right. It's being taken over by fundamentalist Christians who
Right.
want to turn us into a
Right.
Christian theocracy.
Just like that Roe versus Wade got overturned, and
Yeah.
then they're gonna start taking away contraception, or they're just
And
gonna keep going. In
they
that
say it's about the sanctity of life, but it's not. It's about controlling women
Yes.
and their bodies.
Yeah.
I mean, in my lifetime, when I graduated high school, a woman could not have a credit card in her name without the
Jeez.
signed permission of her father or her husband.
Wow.
Wild, right?
And that was 1974. It's not that long ago.
Right.
In the 60s, blacks didn't have the right to vote in the early 60s.
It's so recent.
It
I
is.
know, right?
So
This
recent.
is recent history, and the Republicans are trying to take us back.
Yeah.
Even, it's like Mitch McConnell
Oh God.
is in a mixed race marriage.
Is he?
Yeah.
No
he
shit.
just voted against a bill that would help the sanctity of marriage. The thing he objected to was gay marriage. But it also, when I was born in the 50s, it was illegal
Yeah.
for blacks and whites to marry.
Wow.
You could go to prison.
Wow.
Wow. Can you do
You know-
can you do me a quick favor, Scott? Can you turn that TV down back there?
Yeah.
There's a remote over there. Sorry, but that's wild, man. It's
Yeah.
so crazy, so recent.
We
and
have, we have made great strides
yeah,
in a very recent piece of history.
yeah.
And the Republicans and the fundamental Christian right is trying to send us backwards.
Right.
Look at the crap that Kanye West just pulled. Did you
What's
hear
go-
about
Did you
I
this?
listen to
don't
that?
know
He's
what-
losing his mind.
I don't know what's going on with him.
He
I mean,
believes in Illuminati. He said his mother was sacrificed for the Illuminati.
you know
He
what?
says Beyonce and Jay-Z are Satanists.
You know what I think's going on with him
What's
is
that?
I think when you reach a certain point of fame or a certain point of financial gain,
Mm-hmm.
you just start losing your shit if you don't have
Well,
some people
Yeah,
around
you're
you
not
that
can
got
have
it.
everything and,
And
anything
he's
at any time.
bipolar.
Yeah,
You know, so he has a diagnosed illness
yeah,
that he doesn't treat
yeah.
because he doesn't believe in the pills.
A billionaire with a goddamn
Mm.
illness. Watch out.
Yeah, trouble.
He's gonna start fucking being anti-Semitic and. What did he say? The early my roommate. So my roommate Mo,
Yeah.
as you guys know, he told me that Kanye recently said that he loves Hitler.
Something about
He was on, you know who Alex Jones is,
Of course,
obviously.
I love Alex Jones.
Do you?
He
I love
and
him.
He's nuts.
I
too.
think the head of
He
the
is, but-
Proud Boys
Uh huh.
were on Alex Jones' show together.
Mm.
You remember all the stuff last week about Trump having lunch with the head of the Proud Boys, being white supremacist?
I didn't hear that.
Had
no.
lunch at Mar-a-Lago, and the Republicans
No
will not
shit.
condemn him for it. Kanye was there too. It was
No
Trump,
shit.
the head of the Proud Boys, and Kanye West.
What is going
Now,
on?
The other two went on to Alex Jones' podcast,
The two Proud Boys.
the Proud Boy and Kanye,
Okay. Oh,
and started talking about,
Well, start with what he was wearing, right?
well, a hoodie that covered his face,
Yeah, it
and
was-
Kanye.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really strange.
but they were talking. He says every human being has good sides to them, even if they're, even if they've done something bad. You can't negate the good. And he says, take Hitler. Hitler was a great man. He did so many good things. And then he started talking about the Jewish media controlling.
There's so
The-
many other things you can give examples as great men. Why are you
Yeah.
choosing Hitler?
Yeah,
And why are
well,
the Jews always
and
targeted?
the guy that
Right.
he was with is a Holocaust denier,
Jeez.
very anti-Semitic. Kanye is definitely anti-Semitic.
I don't know where that came from though. Like why? And that's what goes back to what I said about him losing his fucking mind, having so much money, hundreds of billions of dollars,
Oh yeah,
You think so? In the
so
billions?
famous that he's doesn't even know who he is anymore.
yeah. When he and Kim were building their house, he wanted a rare exotic wood from somewhere in the Pacific Islands.
Like some crazy hardwood.
Yeah.
But
He
wow.
flew his private jet, or he had his private jet fly out. They loaded up with like $250,000 worth of lumber and flew it back because they're just that crazy freaking rich.
Yeah.
Right.
And he doesn't do anything. He is not a philanthropist. He does not.
He
give
tries
his
to
money.
be, I guess, or he portrays himself
He
as
portrays
one.
himself as. He portrays himself as godlike. He had his
Right.
own church. He's like,
Well, for a
Narcissism.
second, he's claimed to be Jesus, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
his
like-
song "Jesus Walks." It's about him.
Is it?
Yeah,
No, I don't know.
Oh, okay. I've never heard it. He has a
no,
song
but
called that?
narcissism
absolutely.
is the word.
He and Trump are both.
Maybe that's why he likes Trump, because he,
Can-
sees that narcissism in,
In
like
They're
it
kindred
relates to it.
spirits.
There you go.
I was listening
So
to
weird.
KNX News Radio the other day, and Al Franken, the former senator and comedian, was on. He's doing a comedy tour again now called
Okay.
the only former senator doing a tour, which is hilarious. Now, he had to resign
That's
from the
great.
Senate because when he was a comedian, they were doing a U.S. show in Iraq, and he had a picture taken while this woman comedian or somebody was on the plane, fully dressed in a flak jacket
Oh, God.
and coat, and he made a picture like he was grabbing her boobs.
Who's this again?
Al Franken.
Okay.
And
Do you know who that
Is
is?
it Al Frankton or
Al Franken, F-R-A-N-K-E-N.
Okay, I've heard the name. I can't put a face
Yeah.
to it.
Look it up, man.
Look it up.
I'm on it.
Jamie.
He was the one on Saturday Night Live that did George Handy, Stuart Smalley.
I never watched Saturday
You're
Night
good
Live.
enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. And then he became a senator from Minnesota, very progressive
Is this him?
Democrat. That is him.
That's him. Here you go.
Let's
That one.
see.
You
Let me
know,
take a look
I
at
know
this
his
fella.
face.
But he was, because he took a
Oh,
picture of him faking grabbing her boobs through a flak jacket,
Show the camera.
it came out and
See it?
Kind of. I'm sorry.
it was demanded by Democrats that he resign, which he did.
He looks like the fucking that guy Dave from Scientology.
Oh, yeah.
You know that guy who runs
God.
Scientology. Yeah, that's what he looks like.
And then the Republicans vilified him and still do. Yet,
So his hate was
They-
nonpartisan. Like it
yeah. But then they support Trump, who bragged about grabbing women's pussies and kissing them without permission because he's a celebrity. He can get away with
Right.
it.
Oh, God.
I don't know how the Christian right can think that Trump was sent by God when he is a philandering twice divorced, cheated on his current wife 10 days after she had their son with
Jeez.
a porn star, and paid her $160,000 to keep quiet about it.
I think his actions are all pointed towards how am I going to make money with my actions. He's
Oh,
not
yeah.
he's not caring about people's
And
feelings
power.
and
Well, look at his.
power. But he's a business guy, you know, like a lot of the choices he
Not a
makes
very good one.
are business, you know, in the
He went bankrupt, right? Twice.
Oh, he's been bankrupt a few times.
Yeah.
I mean, people
and
get
he-
bankrupt all the time, right?
How
But
can you
he's losing
bankrupt a
millions.
casino? His big thing, he
Well,
built
you're doing
all these,
something wrong if you're bankrupting a
Right?
casino.
He would build these properties, declare bankruptcy, and get out of paying the contractors that built his buildings.
You know-
he was known for that.
I wonder if there's like a loophole, right, with bankruptcy. He's probably knows what happens during bankruptcy,
And, uses
and
it
it
to
probably
his
benefits
advantage.
him.
Oh,
somehow.
absolutely.
I'm sure he's a
absolutely.
business guy. He probably knows all the ins and
this-
outs.
yeah. Totally,
Yeah.
The secrets of it.
Look at his kids, Ivanka and Jared, her husband.
Uh-huh.
While in the White House, they made $640 million.
Oh,
When
my
she
God.
went
Insider trading or what?
Yeah. What,
no, through businesses and deals,
No, yeah.
when she went on a state visit to China with Don,
Mm-hmm.
while she was there, they gave her 12 copyrights and patents for products that she developed or, was selling and were being produced there on a state visit. Right after he was out of the White House, Saudi Arabia gave her a $2 billion loan. Don't tell me they didn't benefit from
Right.
his being a president.
Right.
He
When is,
made millions.
When
There-
is
there's-
enough? I mean, do you just want to keep
so
accumulating it?
I heard this a perfect example, and
Yeah.
I had this question kind of recent. I was like,
Okay.
why do these people need to keep making money? And this was an example given to me where it kind of made sense.
Okay.
So, you know how like they keep doing these deals, making money, right? So
Like
it's
Shark
like
Tank,
it's like
right?
enough is enough. But look at it this way: you like playing video games, right?
That's true.
So imagine someone coming up to you and saying, "You played this video game already. Isn't it enough?
Yeah.
No, because you enjoy these video games.
They get their rocks off.
They get
on
their
it.
Yeah,
rocks off.
yeah.
They
That's
enjoy.
their power. That's
Yeah.
their. It's like Richard Gere in Pretty Woman. Getting a company, taking it apart, and making more money because that's
Yeah.
what gets them high.
It's a game.
It is. It
Yeah.
is.
It's bullshit.
And the good ones,
It's goddamn bullshit.
the good ones make it and give it away. Jeff Bezos' wife.
Oh, she fucking made out.
She made out, but she gave away $400 million.
Oh, did she?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
she's
that
given,
Well, good for her.
and she keeps doing more. She actually shamed him into giving a bunch away. The
As she
Gates,
should.
Bill Gates and his wife
Yeah.
built a company that builds water purification portable units
See,
and sent hundreds of them to Africa
That's
to
awesome.
poor villages.
That's
Yeah,
great.
that's great.
You know,
You know?
people who do good stuff with their money, I'm in favor of. The
So-
people
100%.
like Elon Musk
I
who
was
builds
just gonna
himself
say.
a phallus-shaped rocket so he
Mm-hmm.
can send tourists into space.
You don't like Elon.
No,
Not
I
at
don't.
all?
I admire him
You,
for
Tyler?
his mind.
I love Elon.
I do too.
I
think
I
it's
used to
hilarious.
love him, but he's far right wing politician.
I don't
Yeah,
think so.
politically. Oh,
I
he is.
So what I think it gets a little
Construed?
misconstrued. I guess would
Mhm.
be the word. So a lot of people think he's right wing, and what makes you think he's right wing?
Some of his policies, his friendship with Trump, he was anti-democratic. He's anti-choice for women. He is.
Well, so a lot of people I think he's Republican because he's bringing Trump back to Twitter, but I think
Oh,
that
he
goes
he
along
kicked
the
Kanye
side.
off today.
Did he?
really?
Yep.
Really?
Because
so
Kanye-
that he's contradicting himself.
Kanye
Then.
made a post where he had the Star of David
Mm.
with a swastika inside.
Well, see, he's kind of contradicting himself because I know he's bringing Trump back to Twitter because he wants everybody to have a voice no matter how horrible. So if he's picking and cherry picking and taking who you said he just took off?
Kanye.
Kanye. Taking Kanye off, so he's
Yeah.
picking and choosing.
Well,
he's contradicting
off
himself.
topic here. The swastika used to be a peace symbol from
Yeah.
the Buddhist monks, right?
It's
yeah,
not now,
but
though.
you know,
No, it's a hate symbol.
And with
Unfortunately,
his
Well, now it
previous
is.
views
it's
on
a very
anti-Semitism,
powerful symbol, though.
his previous views on Jews,
Oh yeah,
his calling for
Views on
violence
Jews.
against them, talking about the Jewish media controls everything.
Yeah.
well, they kind of.
Oh, Tyler.
But the heads of the three major networks aren't Jewish.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't
look
know
at,
if enough
look
about
at
it.
Rupert Murdoch from
Mhm.
Australia, who owns Fox, Sky News, the whole Fox conglomerate.
Right.
They also now own a bunch of other shit. He is a right-wing, racist, white nationalist
Fuckwad.
from Australia.
Yeah. I see. Like, my problem with nowadays politics is it's always we're on this side. Fuck you if you're on that side.
yeah.
And when I try to have conversations with people about, if they're on the right or the left, I try to remind them, let's forget the party system. Let's focus on what's good policies.
Vote for policies and people, not party.
Because I like some right wing policies. I like some left wing policies. I'm probably more. I'm a centered leftist.
Mhm.
If
I get that
that
because
makes
that's
sense.
kind of where I am.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly left of center
yeah,
left. but
left of slightly left to center for sure. And I think most people are in the center.
Absolutely.
But like if you, like a hardcore right wing, if you're on the right wing, then you automatically have to be this fundamentalist Christian who is against the board. You get put in this category, which I think is kind of bullshit. And all the people in the center, which is most people, get kind of shut up.
The problem is the ultra right wing has become so pervasive and so loud, and they cater to rural, less educated people, and they get their point across by using fear.
Well, that's
they
that's
say
because
what a problem is, and
farmers
they tell
and
you
shit, right?
how to blame it.
What would
You mind?
this? Yeah.
Thank you. Who to blame for the problem, and people
far
buy
right,
into
far
it.
right or far left. They're both out of their fucking
Yeah.
minds.
Statistics show that people who have higher education levels tend to be more on the Democratic, more on the left.
Well,
People
it
who
kind
are
of makes sense. I mean, more progressive. They're more open-minded. They're more
exactly.
right wing tend to be more like stick to the old ways. Like I don't want no change and
Down
shit
to
like
earth,
down to
hardcore.
earth. They could say they're down to earth.
Yeah,
But-
and the left is accused of being elitist, effete snobs who are sitting in their education towers.
Yeah, but you can go too far in both directions.
Absolutely.
And that's the problem, I think, is if you get too caught up into it and get too far one way or the other, that's when you lose yourself and you don't even know who you are anymore. What do you believe? You're just focused on what your team believes.
Yeah.
You know?
The woman I work for, 98-year-old woman, she and her husband were dear friends of both the Eisenhowers and the Reagans. She and Nancy were dear friends until Nancy's death. And they were almost identical in looks. In the 2015 presidential debate at the Reagan Library, when the Republicans had their debate there, Nancy couldn't attend because she was ill. So
This is
she...
Pelosi?
Huh? No, Nancy Reagan.
Nancy Reagan. Okay.
Ronald Reagan's
So,
wife.
okay, now I follow you, follow.
And she sent my boss, she asked her if she'd like to go. And Jane has always been big in Republican politics. So she went, and all the news agencies started reporting that, oh my God, Nancy's here, and God, look how good she looks. And it wasn't Nancy at all. It was hilarious.
Oh, wow.
But
Good lady.
Ronald
Jane's
Reagan was
an actor.
probably the last
an actor.
of the
Yeah.
good
I
Republicans.
feel most of them are.
Yeah.
in the presidency. One of the things that he totally abhorred, totally abhorred, was religion mixing with politics. He believed
you gotta keep
in a
that separate.
total separation of
You
church
have
and
to.
state.
You have to.
He
Because
hated-
if you combine those, it just gets so out of whack.
He hated Jerry Falwell and the Christian right.
Hmm.
Totally hated them. But he was a man of great faith. He
You
believed.
saw through the.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
believed very strongly in God. His wife not so much, but he totally wanted a separation of church and state. Now the Republican Party wants to make us a theocracy. And I mean, how many right-wing politicians have said Jesus should take over this country? We want this to be a Christian nation. Well, F that. Our forefathers, the founders of this nation, specifically wrote the Constitution to separate
Overthrow.
church and state.
Exactly. They. It's so crazy when you think about the forefathers and how much they saw ahead. How fucking smart they were. They fucking wrote things specifically for specific reasons, and they knew what was going to happen if something like church and state was not separated anymore.
Absolutely.
So it's like, man, I kudos, tip of the hat to those forefathers. They knew what the fuck they were talking about.
They were
And-
amazingly
and
smart.
and a lot of right wings like to follow those strict fundamentalist things, and that's okay too. But that's one part of it. You can't just go full fledged this way. I think that's why it's good to have two parties, because you need to hear both sides. But it's bad to go fully one way and shut the other side down. And you're stuck in an echo chamber, and it's,
In the 60s, 70s, even into the 80s, the left and the right were here and here. They were.
It's almost
One
like
side
they
and the other.
switched.
And now they are so far apart
Right.
and so entrenched in their personal dogma that they're
Right.
not willing to look at the other
Not
side.
listen to each other.
No. And yes, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party switched sides in a lot of ways.
Doesn't it seem like it?
Lincoln was a Republican. He freed the slaves, the emancipation.
Abraham Lincoln was a Republican?
Yeah, because
That's
the Republican
wild.
Party was
I did not
more
know
progressive.
that.
But then into the 50s and the 60s, with the civil rights movements, women's rights movements, they sort of switched. And the Democrats became the progressive
Right,
party.
right. Yeah, I knew they.
Around
I
the
knew they
time of
switched at
Kennedy.
one point, but I had no idea.
FDR was really the first because he brought in Social Security. He had the Tennessee Valley Works, the Works Progress Administration, that put people, after the Depression, put people to work. Government-sponsored jobs to get people to work, give them a paycheck, and help them get back on their feet.
Yeah.
And that started. So many Republicans said, Social Security, it's socialism, it's bad. This whole thing of helping a person up is government-sponsored socialism,
And
it's not.
I think that was the problem with Bernie. Like he espoused so much socialism. You want anything?
No, I'm good. I've still got my beer.
Okay. So sorry, what were we saying?
You're talking about Bernie Sanders being
So
far socialist.
yeah. So I think Bernie was a good candidate, but I think the issue with him is what he espoused too much socialism, and
Yeah.
I think people stopped it right there.
Yeah.
I think what he was trying to do was socialism mixed with capitalism, and he was trying to say, what about helping people out, when you get food stamps. And he was trying to help the people, but I
Yeah.
think he went too far with his words, or at least people screwed up his words so much to where they put him in this socialist category, and almost to he's a communist or something.
Yeah, that's the problem. So many people conflate socialism with communism,
Right.
and they are totally at opposites.
Yeah.
All
right. What's the best solution? A mix of everything.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I believe I'm
Because I
pretty
like a lot of-
progressive. I think there should be health care for all. I think universal Medicare is a necessity. Universal health care should come about in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Education.
My nephew lives in Europe. My sister went to visit him, hurt her knee, went to the hospital, treatment, sewed her up, didn't get a bill because the government pays for it.
Right.
They pay higher taxes than us. Our taxes are so wasted. Their
I'd like a
roads-
receipt, right? Like, where's my taxes going? I'd like a receipt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's so much pork barrel. The problem is, especially with the right wing, but it gets into the Democrats as well. The lobbyists for big corporations own them.
You got to take money out of politics.
Exactly. Get rid of the lobbyists.
Yeah.
All these senators that retire, they become lobbyists because they know the system.
Yeah, they work for the companies that they were,
The Republican Party cares more
So
about
crazy.
corporate profits than they do about people.
Mhm.
That's why they are opposed to raising the federal
Yep.
minimum wage from $7.85
To what, 15 now, right?
in California, but federal is still $7.85.
Is it really?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
ridiculous. You
How
can't.
do you live on that?
You don't.
don't.
You don't.
You have 3 jobs
You
and
don't.
5 families living in one house,
Exactly. And
sharing it.
then around here, we got these micro mansions,
Fucking the mic.
mini mansions. Sorry about that.
There you go.
And like 1-2 people live in it.
Yeah.
But
They have lots and lots of money. The housing market is ridiculous because a lot of properties are being bought up by corporations as investments and to rent out as Airbnbs
Mhm.
or foreign investors who are looking for a tax dodge.
You need at least 5 different, incomes to live
Absolutely.
on. You know what memes are? Those little
Yeah.
picture comedy
yeah.
things. So it was a meme, and it was saying it's like, or I think a comic said this, where it's like, nowadays. No, that's what it was. It was like a couple buying a house. Like, should we have another kid? We could afford another kid. And then the next picture is like, nowadays it's like, we need a 5th homie for this Airbnb to pay for this Airbnb. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
you have 9 fucking roommates nowadays. It's so crazy. You can't pay for shit by yourself.
The comic I was telling you about, Steve Hofstetter, in one of his shows was doing this thing about people having too many kids and wanting, welfare for it. Not welfare for, but the people to pay for it by going on reality
Right.
shows and, he singled out 19 and counting, where the family had 19 kids.
Yeah.
Of course, one of them is now in jail for child molestation.
Oh, jeez.
oh God.
But he's talking about this, and I'm trying to remember my point here. Wow, lost my train of thought.
Having so
It
many
happens.
kids.
Having so many kids, you can't afford it.
Right.
And he says, I don't have any kids. It costs $250,000 to raise a child to the age of 18. Instead of having 2 kids, I'm good. Some woman in the
Is
audience
he like
helped
basically
him.
gambling that one of his kids is gonna make it?
Yeah, he doesn't want kids.
Oh.
But a woman in the audience heckled him and disagreed, saying, who's going to take care of you when you're older? He says, I don't have any kids. It costs $250,000 to raise a kid.
Oh, so he's
I'll
saying
have-
he's gonna save all
I'll
that
have
money to take care.
$500,000 and I'll hire your kid to take care of me.
Right.
And they won't be there for you because you didn't plan.
Right. That's hilarious.
Oh, it's...
I
Yeah,
love
it's-
comics how they're so fucking logical with their comic with their.
Oh,
bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you go to YouTube, Steve Hofstetter, he is really good. He does not like hecklers,
Mhm.
Oh, he
but he's
destroys
really good
hecklers.
at destroying them.
Oh,
And
big
he
time.
will
I don't think any comic likes hecklers.
he
Well,
will
no,
roast
he,
them.
He fuels off of them.
Oh,
He-
he
Yeah.
will
he goes-
roast them mercilessly
And it's
because
hilarious.
he's incredibly smart. He has a degree in political science.
Oh, that's
So,
funny.
and if somebody shows up at his show that doesn't know who
Right.
he is,
He just
Oh,
lays
good.
it
and
on.
they're like a trumper and they'll heckle him,
lays
he
it on.
will just
We'll
go
play it for you
nuts.
one of these nights.
Okay.
You'll love it.
After the podcast, we'll check it out.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's really good and he's very quick. He's the best at destroying hecklers
Wow.
that I've ever seen.
I see. Like, I've always, I've always wanted to try comedy, stand-up comedy myself, but I've always like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I can't deal with hecklers. I'm the type of like, if I were to write comedy, I have to be on my downtime and write the joke
Comfortable.
out. And I'm not a on the spot
Well,
type
Yeah.
of,
not yet.
well,
Practice, practice, practice.
true, but I my strong suit isn't that. Like,
Yeah.
so
Right,
my
right.
point is, I appreciate those comics that can just be on the ball with that stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty quick on my feet when it comes to that kind of thing. You
Yeah.
know, it's somebody can say something and I can respond to it pretty
Yeah.
quickly.
I don't think I have that because I grew up as a only child. I was always kind of like
Same.
picked on I mean, I guess if you're picked on, then you'll be able to have those responses.
Yeah,
But I was picked on in a way where it's like, since I was by myself so much, when I was picked on by a group that I didn't know. So usually when you're picked on, and you have those responses, you're picked on by the group of friends that you're with.
yeah,
But I was always picked on by outside bullies. So I had never had a chance to respond. So I was always just like, so I don't have that quick
Well,
response.
it,
But
it,
but if you give me time, I could. Hold on, I'll talk some shit to you, but
Give me time to
wait
figure
till
it out.
tomorrow. I got something good for it.
Yeah. Steve actually wrote a book called Ginger Kid about his experiences in high school being bullied as a redheaded Jewish kid.
You said he was
And
gay
how
too.
No,
No.
he's not
He's not
gay.
gay? Oh, okay.
But he's very progressive
Sounds
and
gay.
very pro women's
gay,
and gay
yeah.
rights. But and he's got a gorgeous girlfriend. But he wrote this book about his experience in high school and how it pushed him into developing comedy
Right.
to diffuse the bullying.
Right.
Was this about gingers don't have souls? Was that
Well,
that
that's
was
that's
kind of
one of the things. Well, gingers don't have souls. Jews don't have souls.
the first
A kid came up to him one time and said, do Jews really have horns?
Oh God.
Because that's what they were
Kids are
taught.
so
That's-
crazy.
Oh my God.
Kids are so gullible. They believe anything.
Yeah.
Do you have horns?
Yeah. Can I see?
Can I see your horn? I'll show you mine if you show me yours.
There you go.
That's back to playing doctor in grade school.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, I grew up with 3 older sisters, so I got bullied by them until I could take them down.
There
I
you
see.
go.
And then it was like, yeah, it's on, bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the oldest of 2 younger siblings, so I've
Yeah.
never. Well, the bullied I had was in school,
Yeah.
but I never.
Was it a
but
single person or like
no, I have had multiple.
really? What did
So
they
for
bully you about?
example,
I don't get it.
for example, like I went to middle school in Palmdale.
Yeah.
As a white guy, I was a minority. I mean, usually you are
Okay.
a minority in California. And I remember I was hanging out with some of my friends during like a lunch break or something, and this very angry Hispanic kid
Oh God.
approaches me,
What's up, Holmes?
and he, he's angry. He's looking for a fight or whatever. I don't know what his deal was.
Yeah.
But he comes up to me, and I'm standing against the wall, and he comes up to me, and he chokes me against the wall, and he's spouting his pride for Hispanic or whatever. My memory's shot with this, but I know it was him having hate towards white people,
And he was
And,
dishing it out.
trying
On
to
you.
prove a point, putting me in a spot.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, and then like this one time, another time I was riding my bike home, and I was passing by Palmdale High School, and there was these 3 black kids hanging out in the parking lot, and I was riding my bike kind of past them,
Yeah.
and they came in front of my bike, and they stopped me, and they're like, "Where are you going?" Stuff like that. And I was the whitest you could ever be. I had the helmet. I had I didn't have
Knee
knee or
pads.
elbow pads. No, I just had the helmet.
Okay.
But I had my mongoose
Mhm.
BMX. Anyway, so after they talked to me and like gave me some shit, I started riding past them, and then I feel rocks hit my helmet.
Oh,
They're throwing
fuck.
rocks at me and just stuff like that.
That's where you just ride like the wind. Get
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fuck out of there.
Run,
Yeah.
Forrest.
But that stuff never got me angry enough to like want to take karate classes or
Retaliate.
want to I
Yeah.
I was always just like, oh, what the fuck,
Yeah.
I dealt with a little bullying. Most people I got along with, but in high school there was this one kid, Robin Halford.
Oh, you remember?
And
I
I'd be-
remember the last name
I'd
too.
be
Fuck.
like going up the stairs of M building at Taft High School, and he'd like rip your books out of your hand. It was before
Oh.
backpacks and stuff, because I'm
Yeah.
a different generation where we had lockers to keep our books in between
had lockers.
classes.
Yeah.
And one day, I don't know why, but I was going up the stairs, and he did that,
And just knocked the
and
books out of your
and
hand.
then he'd run past, and I just had a burst of adrenaline.
He had a crush on you.
I leapt
Probably.
up the stairs.
No, that's
I
probably
hit him
it.
from behind, shoved him face first into the locker.
so
he
at
had a
so,
bloody
so
nose.
at this point you just had enough.
I had had enough,
yeah.
and I whipped him around, grabbed him by the throat, lifted him 2 feet off the ground. I said, "You ever do that again, I will fucking kill you."
Fuck
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what that Mexican kid told me when I was in middle school.
Nobody ever
But I didn't
fucked
know.
with me again.
Yeah,
You
No.
know?
that's what you gotta do, I guess. Sometimes,
And
because
it sucks
You know,
that
because
we
I
have
was
to
bullied
learn
because I
these
was a chubby
this way.
kid. You know, I wasn't grossly obese at that time. That came later, but yeah. But I had a
kid-
great core group of friends that
Kinda
we always
lifted
had
you up
each
and
other's
told 'em to-
backs.
You
Yeah,
were in
Yeah.
the car club,
yeah.
right?
We were. It's funny because we all thought we were like the outsiders.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out 3 years later from my girlfriend Laura's younger sister that we were actually considered the coolest group.
And you had
Because
no
we
idea.
were all motorheads, we all went street racing, we all went to, after the football games, we'd all go to this place called Pipe and Pizza on Reseda Boulevard,
pipe and pizza.
which had
We
a
pipe and we
Wurlitzer, it had a Wurlitzer theater organ,
What is it?
a theater organ, pipe organ.
Oh,
An
okay.
actual
Like in
pipe
church, right?
organ
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the pizzeria. And
Oh, shit.
afterwards, we would
Usually
a
they have jukeboxes.
group of the drill team and band members and us would all get together. We were all friends. We'd go out to Smith's Food King, buy a case of toilet paper for $8, 96 rolls,
Oh no.
and we would pick a few people, our friends,
Yeah.
to TP their houses
Oh,
every Friday night.
That's fucking hilarious.
And that was our thing. And then homecoming game of my senior year, the principal of the school, Dr. Olmsted, announced his retirement. We bought 2 cases that night, and we TP'd his house with 192 rolls
Oh
of
Wow.
my
toilet
God.
paper.
What a mess.
And it started drizzling.
Whole week's allowance on
Oh,
toilet.
and it started raining.
It started drizzling.
Good
and
luck.
it was hilarious.
Oh,
But he thought it was.
no.
Did you
he-
like him?
Oh yeah,
He was a good guy?
He was a really good guy,
Can I grab a
and
cigarette
he
from-
knew that it
Grab
was
what?
an act of love.
Cigarette?
He
Oh,
was
yeah.
proud of it.
He was.
Oh yeah, he
Really?
loved
So-
it.
so
It
He-
was a different time.
He changed it into a positive outlook.
oh yeah,
It's like these crazy kids.
Yeah,
I,
no.
I like it.
So
he knew that we did it only to our friends and people we admired. and-
Oh,
and
so
liked.
that's where he got the idea of him being like honored by it.
so
Yeah,
on the same on the same subject as that, me and I had 3 I had Yoel, Vahid, and Sam.
I remember you well.
He's a good guy. I like Yoel.
Shout out to Yoel if
he
you
was
ever hear
always-
this.
He was a nice guy. He was a good guy. So we I think we saw a movie about the dog shit in the bag.
okay.
You light the bag on fire.
Oh yeah,
you
yeah,
stomp out the bag.
No, no,
and
no.
You get dog shit.
No,
all over
you light it on fire and then you ring the doorbell.
Exactly.
So the person that answers the door stomps
it, and then they get
Yeah.
shit all over their shoe.
Yeah.
So no. Sam, like, okay, I'm gonna do this, right? So we get dog shit. We get a brown paper bag. We put it on the porch. He puts lighter fluid on it, right? Bad idea. He lit it. The whole door goes up in flames.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you don't put it that close to the
No,
door.
you don't. So we learned that the hard way. We ran to Yoel's car faster than you could imagine. We were in that car like that. He drives off. I look back. The whole door is.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you
I
could
don't
be
know
arrested for felony arson.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was not. Oh, here.
Yeah, me and my friends, we used to go street racing and chasing each other in cars. uh, we made, remember, 35 millimeter film used to come back in the early days in a little tiny aluminum can with a screw top. Instead of later on it became plastic things with a snap lid. You're way too young to know this.
I remember that.
Is this
But-
the same film that you would put like
In one of the old SLR cameras like that before they
Okay.
became digital. So they
kind of
were
like
the
what
perfect,
VHS has on, like
Yeah.
those.
but
okay.
they were little, about an inch and a half, 2 inches tall, about that big around, inch in diameter, with a screw-on aluminum lid.
I think I know what you're talking about.
We used to make our own black powder, sulfur, charcoal, and sodium nitrate gunpowder.
What do you have, the Anarchy Cookbook over here?
I've been doing since I was a kid. I used to make my own Roman candles.
Oh,
But-
nice.
So we'd make them up and we'd build a little tiny pipe bomb, little like an M80.
Oh God.
And my friend Greg was into Estes model rockets. So you get the model rocket igniter and drill a little hole in the cap, put the igniter in, which is just a little glow thing that heats up.
Uh-huh.
Put a long wire on it, hook it up to an extension cord, and
Oh, shit.
the other end of the extension cord into a cigarette lighter fitting for your car. So we'd put it in somebody's mailbox
Oh, no.
Oh my god.
and then we'd have this 50-foot extension cord, plug it in a
Oh,
second and
so
a half
it's
later.
it's like a TNT.
yeah,
thing.
it's like you stick the thing in the lighter and kaboom.
Oh my god.
That makes me think.
They
of,
were
the
so
butterfly
much
effect.
fun.
That's exactly what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
You ever seen that movie?
No.
The
With,
Butterfly
Ash-
Effect?
Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, never saw it.
Oh
So
God.
Ashton
what a
Kutcher
scene.
is, everybody looks at him as a little, he's a douche or.
Yeah.
I like him
Yeah.
and
I don't have anything.
as a comic. He does usually like comic movies. and
Dude
stuff.
was my car.
But this
and
but this movie he did, the Butterfly Effect.
it
He
was a good movie.
perfect fucking actor to do that.
Yeah, very much so.
He did very well. I liked that movie a lot.
So they made their own TNT, right? You remember that scene? And he puts it in the mailbox.
in the mailbox, and he blew off his hand.
A woman walks up with her baby,
Right, I remember that.
opens it,
Oh,
and they both get taken out.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I
not good.
remember that.
No,
not
it was
good at all.
a rough
That's yeah.
rough scene.
But that's exactly what it reminded me of for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Good
Yeah.
movie. Good movie.
I
Horrible
thought so,
scene.
too.
Good movie.
Oh yeah.
My dad had a degree in chemistry. He was a chemical engineer when he first started. Then he became a furniture maker. And the one
That's
thing,
a crazy switch, huh?
Yeah.
the one thing that he would never teach me
Hmm.
was he used to make nitroglycerin.
Oh
Mm.
shit. Goodness.
He taught me some other things like ammonium triiodide, which you make, and it's a contact explosive. It's very stable when it's wet, but when it dries, it's like a gust of wind will make it go off. And when he
Wow.
was in high school, he used to make some up and he would put it on a textbook
Oh no.
Oh, jeez.
and close
Is
it.
it like a small explosion?
Yeah,
Like
and
a
the-
firecracker?
Yeah, and the teacher would grab he'd put it on the teacher's textbook.
Oh my
Teacher
god.
would go and
That's
drop his
crazy.
textbook, and it would blow open to whatever page
Oh
he
my
had
god.
spread it on.
Nowadays, you'd fucking be put in prison for 5 years for
You
that.
really would.
You,
Back then, it was like, Billy.
yeah.
doing a
being
funny-
So silly.
Yeah.
There's a store in Glendale called Student Science Service, and they sell chemicals and stuff for science classes. You used to be able to go in and buy sodium nitrate saltpeter, which is part of the gunpowder recipe. You could buy sulfur. You could buy
You
ammonium
used to buy a lot of shit on
iodide.
the internet. You used to be able to buy DMT on the fucking internet.
Is that right?
yeah.
Dark web, right?
You could walk
Scary.
into this store and buy all this stuff. Now they don't sell
Yeah.
anything anymore because
Well,
it's
that might
all
be a good thing.
illegal.
Oh, you think?
Oh, I think
Yeah.
so.
Right.
My friend Rusty and I one year in my dad's furniture factory in the back office in a 40,000 square foot facility full of lumber, sawdust, and finishing supplies. We took a hot plate and we mixed up all sorts of stuff. Different powdered metals make different colors. We took a 2-inch diameter steel pipe, 3 feet tall, and made a Roman candle.
Oh,
Gunpowder, and then you make a ball out of sugar and sodium nitrate and gunpowder and the different metal powders, and they would blow off and give different colors.
Wow.
We packed this sucker, and we're doing it in a furniture factory. The year earlier, Rusty had tried it, and he burned down his parents' kitchen.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So I made
So
sure
he
we had a
continues to
fire
try it.
extinguisher.
I'll
And
get it this time.
it was, we buried it in the ground in a vacant lot next to his parents' house over on Chandler and Bel Air.
It's still there.
Just waiting.
Well,
for
now it's
somebody.
an apartment complex. But these suckers shot 200 feet in the air. One lodged in a tree and started a small fire, but it went out.
Oh god.
But he also used to make napalm, ivory soap, and
Napalm?
gasoline. Yeah.
That's no joke.
Take
No.
bars of soap, scrape them up, mix in gasoline, stir it. It makes a jelly, and you make napalm. He
Me
used
and you lit off a Roman candle. Remember that?
We did?
It was New Year's.
Oh, we did, and I was
It
like,
was 2 in the morning.
don't do it, Scott.
Yeah.
And you were like,
I
I'm
was like,
doing
I
it.
gotta do, I had oven mitts on because I thought it would blow my hands up. And I mean, god damn, that thing was loud. It was 2 in the morning. People were pissed.
Oh, I bet.
And I imagine, I understand. I would have been.
My friend Rusty, he also made thermite, which, if you know what it is,
Yeah.
it's burns very, very hot. It's made out of
Very quick too.
iron oxide, basically rust. And when it lights off, nothing's going to stop it. It will burn through metal. It's how they weld railroad tracks together.
Mm.
Oh my god.
And he was a geek in school, and he was bullied a lot. And his favorite bully, well, his least favorite bully, had this really nice Chevy van all decked out. Rusty made up some thermite, put a ring on the guy's hood, and wired the igniter to the guy's ignition so that when the guy started his car,
It lights it off.
it lit it off, burned a hole straight through the hood.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Things that would send you to jail instantly.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, it's like when I was growing up, my sisters and I, we were feral kids. It's like
Latchkey kids.
our house we didn't even have a key to the house. Until I was 22 years old, we never locked the front door.
Oh wow.
That's
We lived
Well, I
in
mean,
a
you
cul-de-sac.
could trust people back then.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you can't. You can't leave your door unlocked.
There
When
was
I
a
was-
serial killer that would walk up to houses and see if the door's open. He would kill the people inside, and he said, "I thought I was allowed to do this because the door was open, or something like that,
God.
unlocked."
Well, that's mental illness for you.
Oh, big time. But
100%.
When I was 5 years old, when I started kindergarten, I walked to school with my sister, who was 3 years older than me, 3/4 of a mile, crossed the railroad tracks, to and from school every day. Parents never walked us.
Yeah.
It's like you get home, get on your bike, you go see your friends. As long as you're home when it gets dark
When the
for
lights
dinner.
come on.
Yeah,
That's how
it.
I was.
Yeah.
I walked to and from school, like, all the fucking time. When I was in middle school, I lived pretty far from the middle school, a couple miles. I would have to walk to school every morning, and when I'd start walking, it'd be dark out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, when you think about it, it's like, back then, people didn't give a fuck about
Totally different
total
time.
trust,
the
you know.
world's going
Yeah.
to shit. I mean,
But now
people are
I
kidnapping
can't
and-
even imagine. Like, for example, my little brother, he's 15. He's 15, and I can't imagine him walking alone somewhere. Like, you know what I mean?
I got my license on my 16th birthday. I was the first one in the door. And from that time on, I was gone. I was the only one in
He's
my
like, "I'm
group
out."
of friends who did not have a curfew.
Really?
So I would be the designated driver. Friday nights, Saturday nights, we'd go out and party. My dad said, the only restriction my dad said is try and be home before we wake up, otherwise your mom will worry.
Yeah.
Other than that,
That's cool.
and
That's a good,
I was given
That's
a free
cool.
rein, and restrictions were only put on if you abused it. So it was
Right,
like, if you
right.
go too far out, then they're going to dial it back. I never did.
no.
Yeah, because if you oppress kids or anybody,
Oh, they're gonna go the
they're
opposite
gonna do
way.
the opposite.
Yeah.
So it's
You mean I
like
can't do
you
this?
give
Why-
them that
It's
freedom.
probably awesome.
If you give them that freedom, maybe at a certain point they might start disobeying the rules. But then as they're doing it, when they have that freedom, they start thinking to themselves like, maybe I shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
It's like you
They're-
give them
they're
that
giving
freedom.
me this
They,
leeway.
they
this-
start thinking to themselves like, maybe I shouldn't be doing it. But if you hold them back and oppress them, then
Yeah.
they're not going to think about if they should be doing it or not. They're going to do it.
Yeah. It's like, I never smoked pot till I was out of high school.
I was 15.
We were the ones that went to a party, and if somebody pulled out a joint, my friends and I would go like, "Yeah, we
Let's
don't want to
get
be
out
here."
of here.
Exactly. We were those freaking nerds. A year later, it's like
Do you remember?
we're lighting up at parties, and
Yeah.
Do you remember your first experience with weed?
no,
None at
I
all.
don't.
Really?
I don't.
Do you, Tyler?
Not-
I do.
I remember some experiences, like the first time I got high with my sisters.
How'd
We
that
were
go?
at my sister Jean's apartment. We played I brought over Dark Side of the Moon,
Oh, great
Oh.
album.
and when the alarm bells go off,
Oh God.
my sisters dove under the table. We were so high.
Do
For
you
my
know that-
birthday, they gave me a pipe, a big wooden, regular pipe.
It was some Sherlock Holmes
It
type
wa-
shit.
Yeah, it held an eighth of an ounce.
Oh.
It was a party pipe. But it's like 2 or 3 years later, one of my friends' younger brother, we were talking about drugs, and he's like, "You've actually shot cocaine into your face?" It's like, no, that's not how you do it.
It's like, no,
No, that's not how you do it. No, but it's
it's
like
easier than that.
Yeah. Just put it up your butt.
1976, 2 years after I graduated, Jay, Greg, and I went to Oakland Coliseum to see The Who and the Grateful Dead play together.
The
Grateful
Who's
Dead.
Dead.
Now, we were used to LA concerts.
Uh-huh.
Daryl Gates was police chief, and you
Who's
would
Daryl
be
Gates?
thrown. Daryl Gates, he was LAPD chief, and he
Okay.
was a hard ass.
Mm.
And the LAPD was
sheriff?
kind of, no, he was chief of LAPD police.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember Peter Pitchess was the sheriff. But
Yeah, because usually sheriffs
if
are the
you had
assholes.
a joint, I mean, they searched everybody going into the Pink Floyd concert at the sports arena downtown.
Mhm.
If you had a joint, you went to jail. It was bad.
Crazy.
Wow.
So we went to this concert totally unprepared for the atmosphere.
Mhm.
We didn't bring a blanket to sit on in the stadium. So we got squeezed out. People were passing around mirrors with lines on
Oh
them.
my god. I could only imagine.
You couldn't bring a can or a bottle in, but if you brought one of these 5-gallon igloo containers full of rum and coke,
They didn't care.
no big deal.
Wow.
Guy got busted with a 6-foot-tall marijuana plant because the microphone was visible in the top. That's the only reason.
I love it.
So we were totally unprepared. We spent that weekend on Thai stick, coke, cheap red wine.
Thai stick. What's Thai stick?
Thai stick was like the stickiest, resiniest bud you can get now.
Well,
And it was just this resiny bud tied around a wooden stick with string. It was like really good pot that you get now, but it would stick to your fingers. It was so resiny.
Mm.
And back in the day, that was just like,
Yeah.
now that's kind of normal.
No,
But
that's
back
normal.
in the
That's normal
day,
now, yeah.
that was like primo. And then walking to the concert, we dropped 2 hits of acid,
oof.
which was the first time I'd done acid. I'd done shrooms a lot. And I got really claustrophobic.
Oh no.
And I ended up saying, I got to get out of here. I spent the next 3 hours walking around the stadium from the very bottom level, all the way to the top of the top seats where the only people were a couple couples having sex.
Of course they were.
And the music was just as loud, but it was like looking through the wrong end of the binoculars where everything is way far away. And I was just blazing.
Oh my God, I bet.
And Jay and Greg would look at each
two
other.
hits of the stuff that's back then was that some
it was Purple
orange
Dot.
shine.
It was Purple Dot.
Purple. Okay.
And we're back.
And we're back. What were you saying again?
Oh, I was talking about the Grateful Dead concert.
Right,
It was just first and worst, just because of the claustrophobia. It was a great time because it was a phenomenal concert. The Who opening for the Dead.
But intense.
It's like, yeah, really intense.
You gotta be like, really into the Dead to be into the Dead. It's just like certain people that, I get it, but I guess if you're not on acid, you don't get it.
I've never gave them a shot, really.
I haven't either.
Yeah.
They're a party band. They're a jam band.
Jam
I mean,
band.
they can
like
play
Fish.
a song for 2 hours.
Just going to say Fish.
And just sit there jamming. Jerry Garcia
Oh, jeez.
was trained at Juilliard as
Was
a
he really?
classical musician.
Wow.
His dad was a classical
Is he
musician.
still? He's not around anymore, is he?
No, he died.
No.
How did he go?
His heart gave out. He was in rehab. He had cleaned himself up, and his
Right.
heart was just
Not strong enough for it. Wow. That's rough.
Yeah, a lot of the psychonaut, psychonaut, like those, they call the people that like dive super deep into psychedelics. They call them psychonauts.
Okay.
Okay,
And
I
all,
never heard that.
all the psychonauts like
Praise him? Really?
praise Garcia.
I wonder why.
Well,
He was
part of the.
well.
The
He was
movement.
he was one of the Dead were one part of the original Merry Pranksters. If you know about them, look them up. Ken Kesey started it.
What's
along with Timothy Leary, who was the father
that? Timothy
of LSD.
Leary. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Love Timothy.
Ken Kesey wrote a book called The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. Great reading.
Hmm.
But they
I
used
need
to
to
go
write that
around
I've
and
never
have
heard of it.
events and parties, and they would just put acid in the punch, and
Yeah.
everybody would get
Oh,
high.
in the
God.
punch bowl.
You ever go down Haskell Avenue and see that onion-shaped wooden building that's a church now?
The brown church, the little brown
The,
church.
the
Is that-
little brown,
Yes,
it
I lived
looks
near
like
it.
an onion
Yeah.
on Haskell.
What about it?
They actually held one there.
Held what?
There were one of their acid parties.
Oh wow.
The valley, there used to be at the corner of Zelza and Devonshire, part of Northridge. It was called Devonshire Downs.
Oh.
They had horse races. It was Northridge College's stadium.
No shit.
In 1969, there was a 3-day music festival, like Woodstock.
Yeah.
Doors, Janis Joplin,
Oh,
Jimi
shit.
Hendrix,
Wow.
Taj Mahal. I mean, the biggest names
Wow.
were there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Santana,
Ooh.
right here in the valley. There's so much
Wow.
history here.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you go? You didn't go, did you?
No, I was 13
I went.
at the time.
Oh, okay.
I went.
Tyler went.
I went.
There you go.
Tyler
It
was.
was a
Yeah.
good time.
Good
You were
stuff.
in your
It was,
daddy.
it was all right.
You were still in your daddy's sack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What year was that?
1969.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. I was
Yeah,
definitely. I wasn't even a twinkle.
No,
in my
no,
dad.
you weren't
Not
even
even close.
swimming.
Not even close.
My mom was born in '69.
Was she really?
We
Yeah, my
It's
mom
like-
wasn't even born then.
there's so much shit here in the valley that a lot of younger people, especially, don't know. There was a ring of missile sites, Nike missile bases around the valley. Top of you go up DeSoto to the end, past the freeway, Browns Canyon Road. Go up the top. It's now an LAPD training facility, but that was a missile base. Mulholland
Wow.
Highway in Encino, missile base. Victory
shit.
Boulevard and Woodley, where the sewage treatment plant was, missile silos.
Do you remember? So if you drive around the valley, there's these Russian bomb sirens. You ever see those?
The air raid sirens.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
yeah,
they're not
they don't.
hand
They don't
cranked,
use them. Yeah, they're not hand cranked.
Oh,
But you
okay.
don't. They don't use them now. But when when Russia, when we were like thinking we are gonna be bombed, was it the Cold War, right?
Yeah.
Um, they they set up all these sirens around the valley, and they used to do test runs like.
Yeah.
10 a.m. the
God
fir-
damn, that'd be scary as fuck.
Fuck yeah.
10 a.m. the last Friday of every month. Entire school life for me. Every last Friday of the month at 10 a.m. those suckers went off.
Jesus.
To
Jeez
test.
Louise,
That'd be
right?
so scary.
And we would have
Terrifying.
drop drills where you duck and cover, get under desk in
I
a
remember
fetal
that.
position.
Did
So you leave a
school do
smaller-
that too?
I did that.
Yeah.
So you leave a smaller shadow on the ground when you're incinerated.
Jesus.
There's a movie you should watch. It's on one of the streaming platforms. It might cost a couple bucks to get it. Called Atomic Cafe.
Did-
It is basically
A documentary.
it's fun. It's a fun movie. Have you ever seen Reefer Madness?
I know of it.
Faster.
I've
Okay.
seen bits and parts, but I haven't seen it.
Faster.
It's all put together. They were all snippets of propaganda films.
Sure.
Atomic Cafe is the same way, to put
Uh-huh.
it together in a satiric light,
Mm.
to show how ridiculous the thought of
Was it
surviving one is.
was it an English movie?
Oh no,
No, it
no,
was
no!
Ameri- it
This
was-
this is an American, and it's all real government footage
Wow.
of nuclear tests, showing buildings they built and then blowing them up, showing fake bodies, or they put animals out in pasture and
Oh,
then blew up
no.
the bomb, and
It's all just for fear tactics, I'm sure.
it was fear tactics, but they really believed it. At the
Sure. Yeah, I guess. I
You know,
mean, it's like
but it was-
you have to give something to the public to make them
Do you-
feel a little okay.
Do you guys remember the they said missiles were going to hit Hawaii,
Oh,
Yeah.
somebody's
That was a false alarm.
but
Yeah,
people,
somebody
you know what
put the
people
wrong-
did?
Yeah, they try to look for shelter, and then they quickly realize there's no fucking
Well,
shelter.
some of them dug up the manholes and went down into the sewer.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Topanga Plaza, all the malls and various parts around the city. You would see the little triangulars with the CD and its civil defense logo. There were bomb shelters built under Topanga Plaza. There were Laurel Plaza,
You done
Valley
feel better?
Plaza. They all had bomb
Okay.
shelters in them.
Wow.
The Cold War, in the early 60s, during the Cuban Missile Crisis, when Russia started putting
With Cuba.
nuclear missiles in Cuba.
Yeah, they tried to. What was it?
Assassinate
Rogan
the
always
guy.
talks about this. They try to arm Cuban friendlies and blame it on like they tried to shoot down an American jetliner and blame it on the Cubans so we could
Yeah.
infiltrate.
Yeah, there was a lot of weird shit
A
going
lot
on.
of crazy shit,
There was
and
a
we
s-
think nowadays is crazy. I think
Yeah.
it was probably a lot more.
Well, look at Iran Contra, where the CIA was funneling, using drug money to fund killer squads in Nicaragua.
the FBI, the federal they sell drugs.
And weapons.
They for sure do.
and
like,
weapons.
I don't know
they're-
that they do anymore, but they certainly did.
There
The
was a movie-
cocaine, the crack epidemic.
Yeah.
CIA, when they were testing out LSD as a weapon and to
Like
see
a
what it would
like a
do,
mind control thing. Yeah.
they
They gave
were
it to
giving
their own
soldiers
soldiers.
and citizens
Yeah.
There's actually
drugs.
footage of it.
Oh yeah,
And they're all
Yeah.
walking around like, "Ooh."
Yeah, they're trying to give them objectives or
Well,
So,
they
you know,
wanted
like-
to see if they can mind control people.
yeah.
yeah.
But that failed, obviously.
Yeah.
With Manson and all that crazy
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
They used him to try to mind control people with acid, and
Oh, yeah.
it went to shit, the whole thing.
Oh God.
Because you can't. I mean,
No, people are gonna do what
you're
they
on that.
do.
You've done acid.
And
Yeah,
now
you're
they're
like,
researching
leave
it
me
for
alone.
help
I mean-
for mental illness,
Right.
schizophrenia, depression.
Yeah, at first they wanted to control people. Now they're using it for health.
Yeah, shrooms they're
figure?
doing research on.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think
I think it's
microdosing-
wonderful.
I'm gonna start doing that, by the way. Microdosing.
Uh,
You don't think so?
I think it would probably be good.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta just know what you're doing, and
Well,
Yeah.
you know how
Yeah.
to do it, right?
Yeah.
You could give me some advice.
I was
can give
listening
you
to the
some
radio
I'd
today, and
appreciate that.
now 23 states and Washington, D.C.
Hmm.
are legal for recreational cannabis use.
There you
as
go.
it,
is
as
a
it should
big-
be, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
People are gonna do drugs. You can't stop them.
You
when-
can only profit from it.
Yeah,
A
use
couple
it
months
for-
ago, when
Yeah.
Biden reversed the convictions of all the people still in jail for minor marijuana convictions.
You want to hear the little catch on that? So everyone, threw up their arms and loved Biden for this. That he said he was going to get people out of federal prison who have been convicted for marijuana possession. The trick to that, or the catch to that, is there's nobody in federal prison for marijuana possession. So nobody got fucking released.
Really?
The only people that are in federal prison for that are major sellers, major grower.
Right.
There's nobody in federal prison
Yeah.
for marijuana possession. There's no FBI arresting people for possession. So it's
There-
like when he said that, he just gained oh, he's doing something great for us
Right.
stoners.
I'm not gonna.
But you look
fact
into
check
it,
it.
no one got released because there's nobody in federal prison for
It's
possession.
ridiculous.
He's just doing, it could be for votes or whatever the
He's-
fuck. I would.
And
I
it will
was
also
so happy.
help states progress and say, if it's good on a federal level, maybe we should do that. I mean, Newsom already released everybody in California,
Mm.
Did he?
which, yeah.
Doing one thing right.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are still people. It's like I got pulled over one time. My two friends and I went in together and bought a pound of Colombian,
Hmm.
which was like
Colombian
pot bread.
cigar. No.
No, that's
Yeah.
Cuban cigars. Colombian pot,
Uh-huh.
which was like the best at the time. It was like $350 for a pound.
Oh.
That won't even get you an ounce nowadays. But it was. I mean, today it would be bunkweed, but back in the day that
Right,
was
right.
really good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm driving in my 66 Impala that I built.
Ooh.
Had 450 horsepower, B&M racing transmission, lowered. I built it for canyon racing. I'm cruising up Corbin Avenue towards Ventura Boulevard. Turn on to Ventura. Lights come on behind me.
Oh God, pucker.
Here we go.
Pucker
I had
butthole.
a pound under my front seat. My heart is racing. Guy, he says, I clocked it 55 up Corbin. I just looked at him and I said, oops, it got away from me. Sorry.
Yeah,
And he
just
says,
be honest.
plus
exactly.
you've got a brake light out.
No.
I said,
Oh,
really?
perfect.
And I said, can I get
Of
out and
course I
check
did.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
I popped the trunk and the little sockets had fallen out. And I said, here they go. It works.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, cool. And then we started talking about cars. He was driving. They had just released the 401 cubic inch American Motors Javelin cop car. And I said, how do you like the new Javelin? Do you like it better than the old
I only know about the
Satellites?
Crown Victorian and the Charger.
Oh yeah,
I'll
those
look
are.
up the Javelin
This is back in the 70s, early
Okay.
80s. They had Plymouth Satellites that were the big car. They were the fast car. Then they had the 401 Javelin. It was a good car. And we started. He was a motorhead, so we started. He says, "Can I see what you got under it?" So I popped the hood and
no.
told him about the motor. I built it in my mom's living room
Yeah.
when I had a broken leg.
Your hands
And
still
we
work.
started just talking about cars, and he let me go. No ticket, just said slow it down. I drove the 3 blocks to my friend's house, and it's like, light me one, because my heart was just like,
Right. Jeez.
I said, I just came so close to spending the next 20 years away,
Yeah.
because for that much pot, that's what the sentence would
A
be.
lot of people when they get
Is this
pulled
the
over
Javelin?
and a lot of people when they get pulled over and they have large amounts of things, they can't handle the pressure of it, and they
They
cop
fuck up.
they cop to. I got 40 pounds of cocaine in my trunk.
Oh,
you know.
God.
Yeah.
I can't.
That's
I can't,
it. It's beautiful,
I can't imagine.
dude. Right? You ever been arrested?
I have.
Have you really? Like you got taken to the station?
Got my fingerprints, pictures.
How old were you?
16?
That's young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, when you get 18, it's going to be off your...
Expunged.
They lied.
They lied?
They lied.
Really? It's still on?
I'm pretty fucking sure.
Fuckers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a 2-door. They had a 4-door model
Beautiful car.
that they were using out here. I got popped twice. I got taken in twice for DUI. First time was when I was working at Thirsty's Hideout on Sepulveda, which was a bikini bar. Got off work at 10. Me and a buddy went out drinking to a couple other strip clubs. He got us 86th from one because he was too drunk. Came back to Thirsty's. I poured him into the backseat of his car to sleep it off. I went inside just to sit and close and have some coffee and some water.
Wind down, yeah.
Wind down. About 2:30, I go out, get in my car. There's a guy said, "Hey, my car won't start. Can you give me a lift? It's just here at Roscoe and Langdon." I said, "Yeah, no problem." Drive up, drop him off on Langdon, north of Roscoe. As I'm about to pull out, there's a car stopped in the street, just headlights on, just sitting there. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I pull out, on come the Reds.
So you have to go that way. If you don't, then it's suspicious. Yeah.
So I pulled over. Cops come up. "Good evening, sir. Have you been drinking?" We clocked you at 50 miles an hour on Sepulveda, and I just looked at him and said, "Uh-oh, I just got off work." And he said, "Have you been drinking?" And I said, "I've had 4 beers and 3 glasses of wine since 7 o'clock this evening. This is now about 2:45. He said, "Well, could you step out? We've got to do some tests." I'm like, "Okay, no problem." I've got bad ankles. I can't walk a straight line. And, they do the field sobriety test. They said, "We're going to have to take you in." And so they start to pat me down, and I just said, "Buck knife, right front pocket."
Yeah.
He reaches in, pulls it out. I said, "Can I lock my car up?" He says, "We'll take care of it for you." Put 2 pair of handcuffs on me end to end so I wasn't so tight.
Right.
Put me in the back seat. And, told him I work at Thirsty's. It's, part-time because I just bought this new car. I was driving a Honda Prelude. I told him that, I'm a furniture maker. I work for my dad's company. One of them was into refinishing antiques.
Oh, my God.
So we start talking about different finishing processes,
Lucky,
French polish.
lucky.
Right?
And I said, you need supplies, you need advice. Look me up. I love doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We walk in Van Nuys Station, walk in the door. He uncuffs me and says, "Sit on the bench. As soon as they're done in there, you can go in and blow in the machine."
Yeah. It was
The other
enough
guy
time.
finishes. I blew a .056 and a .055. Now, at this time, the legal limit was still .1 instead of the .08 it is now. So I blew just over half the legal limit. Watch commander comes out, looks at me, says, "You been doing drugs?" I said, "No." He says, "You been smoking pot, doing any Quaaludes?" I said, "I did some crank 3 days ago." He says, "No, that'd be something different." He takes me into the bathroom, shuts off the light, says, "Stare at the X on the wall," shuts off the light, starts doing all this stuff with the flashlight, brings me back out, and I hear the cops and him talking, and he says, "I think he's doing drugs. I think we should book him." And the cop says, "He copped to 4 beers and 3 wines, which jives with what he blew. He's been really cooperative. I think we should give him the benefit of the doubt." So one of them looks over at me, and he says, "Tell you what, Ray, you can have a choice. You can go to jail or Denny's."
I wonder what you picked.
And I said, "Well, I think with that choice, I'll go to Denny's." Went out to breakfast with him.
Did you really? He
Yeah.
sat down in the booth with you?
Yeah, we sat down, the 3 of us,
Wow.
talked for a while. I walked back to my car.
Fuck, a different time, man.
Oh, totally. That
So
would
today-
never happen today.
What do you think? Why? What's happening today? I mean, people are so.
Everybody's on edge.
Yeah.
The limit is lower, and they became very serious about DUIs.
Yeah.
That's the
yeah.
main thing.
And I get it. You could kill someone. Honestly.
Easily.
Yeah. I mean, how much does a car weigh? 6,000 pounds, something like that.
4,000 to 6,000 pounds.
Yeah, that
It's
takes
a
some
deadly
metal.
weapon.
It really is.
And the increase in drunk driving deaths,
Oh God.
you know, it just, I mean, back in the day, my dad got pulled over for a DUI,
Yeah.
and they had him walk a straight line, which he did, and they said, okay, come back. And he started walking backwards, and the cop says, no, you can turn around. He says, oh, you want me to do it the easy way?
Oh God.
And they let him go. He was frickin' blitzed.
Was he?
Yeah, a few years later, he wasn't so lucky.
Oh, okay.
They had him do the alphabet, and he ran out of letters after R.
Oh God.
So he spent that night in jail.
Wow. He told you about that?
Oh yeah,
Did he?
yeah. Oh yeah. My dad was a functional alcoholic. He drank a pint of scotch every night.
Every night.
Every night.
Straight?
Oh yeah. Or on the rocks. Just
Mm.
no mixers. He was straight up Ballantines. The only scotch he'd drink.
Wow. You try it?
A couple times. I wasn't really that much of a scotch drinker.
No. Okay.
Yeah. But 5 years later, I got picked up again. I was driving.
This is your third time?
No, second time.
Second time.
Go over to Playtime, which is a strip club on Sherman Way near Fulton.
Mm-hmm.
One of the dancers asked me to go get a bottle of gin over at Ralph's Market so
Yeah.
we could play after work. I go get it, come back, and I'm parallel parking. I was in a 20-foot box truck,
Wow.
and one of the outer wheels rolled up on the curb and dropped down just as two motor officers drove by who were on a DUI task force.
Perfect.
So obviously, they pull around.
To see what's up.
I jump out of the truck with a bottle in my hand in a paper sack. They say, leave that in the truck. Did the field sobriety test, and it's like, we got to take you in.
Oh, God.
They hook me up. Just then, two cars go street racing down the street. One cop jumps on his bike, takes off after him. I looked at the others and said, hey, if you want to go help your partner,
Yeah, I wouldn't
I'll
mind.
understand.
I
He said,
get it.
No, I can't do that. I said, well, it was worth a shot.
There you go.
Transport car comes and picks me up. We drive down the street, pick up two teenagers who are drunk and street racing. I'm in the front seat, they're in the back. Then we drive over to Roscoe and Sepulveda and pick up another guy who was drunk driving.
So they got 4.
They've got four of us, three in the back, me in the front.
Right. Were you handcuffed?
Oh, yeah.
You were.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Everybody's cuffed. And the cop and I had been talking and joking around because I get along with everybody. The teenagers and the other guy that we picked up
Yeah.
were belligerent
Just
a-holes.
jerks.
And it was right around election time. And, yeah, I bet you're voting for Bush. And they're just ragging on the cop.
Not
And
smart.
I look over at him, and I'm shaking my head, and he's just smiling because it's like,
Well, he deals with that shit all day.
yeah, and it's like, don't these people know that you have
The power.
their life in your hands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We walk in, we all get cuffed to the bench because they couldn't just let me loose that time because there were too many people. Again, I blew half the legal limit. Cop comes out and he says, your license is clean, no wants or warrants. You can either call somebody to pick you up or the transport officer will be back in about 20 minutes and he'll drive you back to your truck. I said, I'll wait. As we're walking out to his car, the motor officers that pulled me in came out. We're talking with the watch commander. They came out of the office into the hallway and said, Mr. Albright, we'd like to thank you for being so cooperative. People like you make our jobs easier. And I said, you're doing your job, you know?
100%.
And he says, out of 182 people that have come in that door, you are the only one walking back out.
Wow. It goes
Twice
to show you.
I got out of it. And, I mean, realistically, I should have gone both times.
Right. I mean, but that goes to show you, if you cooperate and you're nice to them, they'll
I've gotten
help
out of
you.
more tickets
Totally.
than I've gotten just because.
just be honest, be cooperative, because like you said, so many people give them shit all fucking day long.
yeah.
And
So-
everything
so if
starts to look like shit to them.
Right.
You know, like
Right.
even somebody being nice, I'm like, I bet this guy's a prick anyways.
He's got some motive. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
He's trying
so
to get one
the-
up on me or something.
So if you're cooperative like that,
Oh yeah,
They'll-
you be cool. They're people. They're doing their job.
yeah,
Don't try to bullshit them. That's the worst thing. Don't say I only had 2 drinks or
yeah, no,
yeah,
my
they'll-
speedometer
'cause they'll
said
know.
60.
Yeah.
they're not.
I was going up I-5 to visit my girlfriend in Berkeley, and I was in my mom's Monte Carlo because my car was down. Going down this grade outside of Lost Hills, and all of a sudden the lights come on. I hear the siren bleep. I had the music cranked up. I was doing 85.
Oh my god.
And the cop says, he walks up, he says, I clocked you at 85. And I just looked at him and I said, whoops. I said, I had the music on. I'm going to visit my girlfriend, and it just got away from me. It's my
Yeah.
mom's car. I'm not used to it.
He goes,
And-
"Oh, you're visiting your girlfriend." No, that's
Yeah.
Let you go.
And
get out of here.
Yeah.
he checked my license for wants and warrants, came back, said, slow it down,
That's
and
it.
let me go.
Yeah.
It's,
Goes to show you.
yeah, you don't bullshit them. You're real with them.
Yeah, I've had many experiences like that where it's like, I've had experience where I've bullshitted them
Mm-hmm.
and didn't go.
How'd that go?
It didn't go
Wh-
correct. Well, they could see right through you.
Oh, absolutely.
If you're trying to bullshit them, they fucking know.
They're
And-
not idiots.
I mean, and so
They take
they
Courses.
and so they try you just like a normal
yeah.
asshole.
yeah.
But if you give them, honesty and, they could see that. And
Yeah.
and since they deal with these fucking shitty people all fucking day long, that one person that doesn't give them shit,
They're like, you
they're
know
gonna
what?
they're gonna help you out. Like, hey, you made my job easier.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm
slow
gonna
it
help you
down.
out. Yeah.
That works with LAPD, CHP, a lot of municipalities. LA Sheriff,
Oh.
I
God.
have never been pulled over and I never want to.
No.
Well, I'll tell you one place you really don't want to get pulled over is in the Antelope Valley.
What happened
That's
there?
that's LA County Sheriff. Most of it isn't.
Is that still LA County?
Yeah. Yeah,
Well-
it's all LA County, and I think the sheriff has jurisdiction there.
Mm.
The sheriff, even when
Well,
I was
from
in high school, it was always just known.
Why
there
are
was
they-
an unwritten rule: don't get pulled over by the sheriffs.
Why?
Because
that
they
Why
would
is that?
just
Remember-
as soon beat you down.
Remember I mentioned earlier, I was like, was that guy a sheriff?
Yeah.
That was why, because I know sheriffs are always fucking assholes.
Do you know my friend Jonathan? Do you remember Jonathan Lowe?
No.
So he got pulled over by a sheriff, and he had a bag of weed. I think the cop thought it was cocaine. He eats the bag of weed, and the cop grabs his head and smashes it on the floor. Then puts his hand in his mouth and starts pulling the
Oh
bag
my
out.
God.
And Jonathan
Taking his
said
job
to me,
too seriously.
"Oh
Jeez.
God, it was horrible." And Jonathan saw the cop find it was just a bag of weed and not something more, and he was like, "Oh God, this is not going to go well."
Right.
He sued them.
Your friend.
Yeah, and I don't know what happened after that, but the sheriffs, man. I don't
That's
know
why I'm
why.
glad
I don't
They
know
get
why
ahead of
they're
them.
so
They get
angry.
ahead of themselves. Well, they take their jobs too seriously.
I guess-
It's not a job to them. It's
It's
like
a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a
and
power trip for them.
It's a power trip,
Is
and
that right?
they want to win. So if they pull somebody over, if they happen to let them go, or they take it as I didn't win.
Mm.
Yeah.
So if they arrest you, if they give you a ticket, they won.
Yeah.
So
Fuck.
they just look at it that way.
I'm
You know, they-
hoping that the new sheriff, Luna, who was police chief of Long Beach, he beat Villanueva in the election.
Is that the recent?
Yeah.
I've only been paying attention to Karen Bass and Caruso. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which both of them seem pretty reasonable, but
Decent.
I think I like Caruso a little more.
See, I like
Di-
Bass more because
di-
Caruso, he comes out saying he's a Democrat. He's
He used to be,
pro-choice.
right, or whatever.
He used to be a Republican.
Oh, that's
has
right. He used to be a Republican,
He
yeah.
has always come out as very pro-life, not
do
very
you,
anti-abortion.
Do you think his switch was him trying to get more votes, and he doesn't really think
Yeah.
that way?
Yeah, I do. He talks about he's the only one who can, fix homeless. He can build 30,000 low-income housing.
Well,
Every time
Karen
he
Bass
did it-
does have homeless is like she.
Yeah.
When I listen to both of them, I'm like, okay, they both seem reasonable.
Yeah.
But the thing that like kind of takes me away from Karen Bass is she supports Scientology.
Does she really?
Well, all right.
I had no idea.
She was
Yeah.
a congresswoman from that district. When they opened the new Celebrity Center in Hollywood, which was the place, they had their big grand opening, and they invited political leaders. And because that was her district, her job is to go and, and glad hand it. Anybody in that position would have said the same things. She doesn't support Scientology, but she was supporting a new business coming into the neighborhood. And that's the main thing. And I don't hold that part against her because I know the context.
I mean,
A lot of the stuff about Scientology is very recent stuff that's come
I've
out.
been seeing a lot of it recently. So what's the
and
deal
now
with
they're
that?
putting so many ads out because they've gotten bad publicity.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Well, there's a documentary.
Well,
out.
it's kind of obvious why they've been getting. It's a cult.
It is. It is.
Well,
I've looked into, not really looked into it, but I've heard a lot of interviews from. You ever watch the show The King of Queens?
Oh yeah.
the
You know,
Leah
woman-
Remini.
with Kevin, the wife on that
Yeah,
show.
Leah
she was
Remini.
a big Scientologist.
And
so
she got away from it.
She
And
got away from
she
it.
aired all their dirty
went on.
laundry.
She went on Rogan's podcast and talked all about it. And then
She had a series on TV about it.
Mhm,
A
a
weekly
documentary,
series.
right?
Oh, yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when I see that, like the interview with her and Rogan, and then after that interview, a couple months go by, and some other guy, the guy Dave who runs Scientology, Dave.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Anyway, the dad of Dave came on Rogan,
How did that go?
and basically instead of Ron L. Hubbard,
Yeah.
No.
Ron-
L. Ron Hubbard.
L. Ron
There it
Hubbard,
is.
L. Ron Hubbard. So once he died, Dave took over,
Okay.
and Dave's dad, I guess, escaped from this Scientology place and then went on Rogan's podcast, explained it all, and
Oof.
he can't even talk to his son anymore. And
They.
Oh,
What,
yeah.
what is
so
it
when
called? Shunning?
when I see,
I think they shun you, right? Or is that?
Yeah, yeah.
Or is
Yeah.
that Amish?
Yeah. So if your
Same
family
thing.
if your
Yeah, right.
family's in Scientology and one of them leaves, then everybody who is still in Scientology cannot talk to the
You're not
person.
even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't
Which is
exist.
fucking crazy.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
To keep
It's like
to keep people away from your family is outrageous.
It's,
so
it's,
Yeah.
it's
so when I
terrible.
hear these things and these interviews with the what's her name,
Leah
Leah
Remini.
Remini.
Leah. So her interview and then Dave's dad interview. It's just like, to me, it's like, God damn, it's so cultish. It's so.
Who are these people
Come on.
that are joining?
That's why I don't like Scientology. So when I see Karen Bass, and I guess she wasn't fully supporting it.
Yeah, no, she was supporting a new business. She was doing her job. Saying, welcome to the neighborhood. You'll be a great addition.
Was that like for votes? You think?
It's just
Probably.
like the mayor showing up to a new shopping
Sure,
center and
but-
cutting the ribbon.
But any logical thinking person, I think, would not support Scientology based on the facts of how cultish it is and how.
You
so,
want-
so when these politicians support something like that, I'm like, oh, okay.
You want to hear
She's just
something
doing
they
it for
believe?
votes or for money or what. So it's like, so to me, it comes off as she's not pushing her beliefs. She's just wanting to push to get other people to like her. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what pushed me off about her.
Caruso would have done the same thing had he been in his position. My problem with Caruso is him talking about how he can fix the homeless problem, and yet every housing development that he built, when the city asked him to include some housing for low income or green space for parks, he refused. He didn't want to do it. He was after the money, wanted the bigger incomes. So it's and is flipping parties because as a Republican he wouldn't have a chance in hell
Right.
of being
Because Democrats
elected.
nowadays are so popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's my main problem
Yeah.
with Caruso.
I could see that. I mean, I haven't dug so deep into it to know some of these facts here. So this is new to me, and I, I look at it differently, knowing what you just told me.
Yeah.
So it's hard to choose that.
It was a hard choice, and it was a very close race.
Yeah.
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 Getting back to Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard was a science fiction writer.
He wrote the most.
Oh, outlandish
No, what is it when it's not true? Nonfiction.
nonfiction. Yeah.
Or-
Nonfiction is truth.
No,
Fiction
fiction
is-
is
yeah.
fiction
There
is
we
like
go.
making up stuff.
Yeah.
So fiction. He wrote the most fiction books in history of anyone who's written books.
Yeah.
He's the one who wrote the most fiction books. So how?
Yeah.
So if he's starting this religion, it's like,
He
how do I
started-
take you seriously if you're
Well,
He wanted
also,
to tax dodge. That was it.
Yeah.
Churches are tax exempt.
sure?
He developed the Church of Scientology as a tax shelter
But what was
But
his
people
ultimate
took it
goal?
s- because
power.
a Xenu, an
Yeah.
alien overlord, you know,
Flying spaghetti
threw the
monster.
There you
souls
go.
of criminals into volcanoes and they exploded, and that's the
Yeah,
thetans
that's so
that
ridiculous.
invade
They
our
also
bodies.
they also say
yeah,
when
the-
you
the
die, you will get
Going
your
Clear,
own
you know
star.
that Going Clear, you know that book?
yeah.
Yeah, it has all that volcanoes. That's so crazy.
They say when
I
you,
mean, it's not as crazy as any of the other religions. So
well, one of the things they say is when you die and you believe in Scientology, you get your own star and your own planet to rule
yeah,
as a god.
does that not sound
Real, right?
ridiculous?
No,
Oh, I
it's-
totally believe.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
right?
sure.
Yeah, no,
It's
okay.
you know, it's like
And they have a billion-year contracts.
Right, right.
there was a thing I was reading the other day. Homo sapiens has existed for 200,000 years. The first belief in any god was 10,000 years ago.
There's
the
the
first
sun, right?
belief in one god was like almost 6,000 years ago. Jesus was just over 2,000 years ago. Muhammad even less than that. God didn't create man. Man created God.
Yeah.
'Cause we're afraid.
When I was a kid, the first thing that I noticed about religion and what made me not believe in a god was the fact that there's so many religions who all have a god. So the fact that there's so many other religions with their own
Well,
god made me think
most
like,
of them-
well,
Most of
there it
them
is
are
right
kind of
there's
the
the proof
same.
right there that it's man-made, that everybody has a different god. So
Yeah, well, all the Western religions, the three majors, Christianity, Judaism, and
Catholicism.
Islam,
oh,
all believe in the same God.
they all
just-
have like the same stories and shit.
They
yeah,
do.
Well, it's the same God.
And then
But
God gives his
Jesus
son.
came
Muhammad.
as the Son of God, and that's how Christianity started. Muhammad was the next prophet, bringing the newest word of God. So they are all offshoots of one another.
Yeah.
If you look at Islam and Judaism, there are so many similarities. Halal and kosher, it's like not eating pork. Food has to be prepared in a certain way.
Yeah, a lot of religions are very. Oh, sorry. I think it died.
No battery.
Yeah. Well, the last couple minutes of it'll be audio, so we'll just kind of end it here. But continue your.
But the similarities, and it's politics that split them apart and
Yeah.
made everybody hate each other. The
Yeah.
Christians did the Crusades against the Muslims, which started the entire hatred there. Judaism and Islam, big split, Cain and Abel. You know, that's the story of the Bible. I think there is, I don't know if God exists. I know there is an energy
That
in
we
the
all share.
universe that we all share.
Yeah.
I've experienced it. I've felt what somebody else is feeling,
As
even
have
though
I,
they
yeah.
weren't nearby.
Yeah.
My girlfriend Laura, when she was at San Francisco State, she was living in Berkeley, and we'd talk on the phone for hours back in the day of landlines, and she'd be writing a paper, and I'd help proofread it over the phone. And one night she's like, "God damn it! I just had this page. Where is it?" And I said, just off the top of my head, it's underneath the red book by your left hand.
Isn't that trippy?
There it was.
And there it was.
I had never seen her school books. I didn't know what color they were. I didn't know what her set.
There's
Something is happening.
we're almost like, we all think we're individuals, but I think there's a hive mind going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
My sister Carol used to be very intuitive. She was at work one day, and one of her coworkers didn't show up. And she had a mental image of this woman lying on her kitchen floor. And she told her boss, who called the police for a welfare check. They went over. The woman had had a seizure and was on her kitchen floor unconscious.
Wow. Yeah.
Freaked my sister out. So it does exist. Whether
Yeah.
you call the universe intelligent design by a god,
Right.
or if it's just that universal energy put out by the Big Bang,
Right.
it
the,
does
the,
exist.
The laws of
Yeah.
laws of the universe. You know.
But
it
people
does.
find comfort in a god in an afterlife.
They need a scaffold, a moral scaffolding. You know, right? Like
yeah,
they need something to
they need
bait,
something to
to
believe
feel
in.
comfortable, and if
The
people
flip-
don't have that,
Yeah.
you know, they tend to kind of lose their minds a little bit. And
The flip side of that with a lot of organized religions that I really don't agree is that it's a patriarchy
yeah,
created by men as a means to control a populace.
Mhm.
If their life sucks here on earth, you keep them poor by making them tithe, you make them have more children by denying birth control,
Mhm.
but you give them hope of a better life. When you die, that's when your good life begins.
Right.
So keep working, give us
Right,
money.
You got it. You got it.
And keep your nose to the
Yeah.
grindstone, and when you die you'll be rewarded. So it gives somebody of that mind something
Something to
hold
look up
on
to. Look up to,
some
yeah.
hope.
Yeah.
And that's my big problem with most organized religion.
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
it's just crazy.
Well, we'll end it there. Religion is fucking crazy.
And there's
In
so
many
much
words.
more to talk about. We didn't get into LGBTQ
Yeah.
rights,
Well-
misogyny.
Well, I would love to fucking have you on again. This was amazing.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I would like. This was a lot.
It was
of
a lot of fun,
I
right?
agree. This
Yeah.
was nice.
It
It's
was
awesome.
not. I wasn't
Not,
sure what to expect.
not what you expected.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what to expect, and I came in with a little trepidation.
Yeah.
But once we started rolling, this was freaking easy.
Easy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I loved it. I'd love to keep talking.
Everybody I have that comes on here enjoys the fuck out of it, and I'm glad you got to be
well,
part
you're a
of
good
it.
host too.
I am too. You are a good host, and
Well, thank you.
there's a lot of stuff to talk about out there.
And you will come on again, and we'll talk about it for sure.
You got it, my
All
friend.
right. Thank you. Yeah. Well, there you go. All right. Later, everybody. If you're not listening to this podcast anymore, go do whatever the fuck you want to do. So, thank
There you
you.
go.
Thank
Light one
thank
up,
you, Ray.
folks.
Bye now.
Thanks,
Later.
Tyler.